For decades, the JonBenét Ramsey case has felt like an unsolvable maze, right? We've gone over the evidence, the timeline, the suspects, again and again. But what if the key, the real key, isn't buried in an evidence locker? What if it's a memory, the memory of another lost daughter we've all been taught to overlook? What if the story we all think we know is completely, fundamentally missing a piece? Today, we are going to look at what might be the unseen key to the entire Ramsey case, John Ramsey's eldest daughter, Beth. Her memory, and more importantly, how that memory was used could change everything you think you know about this story.
All right, let's dive right in. Fact number 1. I call this the perfect ghost. The first thing any investigator should notice is how the family remembers Beth Ramsey. It's not just loving, it's flawless. And honestly, that's the first major red flag.
Look, we all do it. When someone we love dies, we tend to remember the good stuff. We polish the memory. But this is different. This goes way beyond that. It's not just sanitized, it feels sterilized, stripped of any real humanity. And that makes you stop and ask a very simple question. Why? I mean, just look at the official portrait of Beth, the one built from the family's own words. The talker, the planner, the perfect, helpful big sister who made the cheerleading squad. Okay, but where's the real person? Where's the teenage angst, the quirky habits, the stories of rebellion or sibling fights? The messy, complicated parts of being a human being are just gone. Their absence is deafening. This isn't a person being remembered, it's a symbol being presented.
And that carefully built symbol leads us directly to fact number 2, the suspicious sameness. This is a really unsettling emotional parallel and how John Ramsey talks about two completely different deaths. The tone he uses, it just feels off. You have to see these side by side to get it. On one hand, you've got Beth's death, a tragic but completely non-suspicious car accident, a terrible twist of fate. On the other, JonBenét's death, a violent, unsolved murder, a criminal act. Two vastly different events, and yet, when John Ramsey speaks about them, his emotional tone often flattens them into one single constant fog of tragedy. The criminality, the horror of JonBenét's murder seems to get neutralized.
And that forces you to ask this question. Is what we're hearing pure grief, or is it a form of deflection? By packaging these two completely different tragedies in the exact same emotional tone, you subtly shift the story. JonBenét's death stops feeling like a brutal crime scene and starts feeling more like another sad, fated chapter in a tragic story.
Which brings us to fact number 3, the ransom note riddle. This is one of those moments that is so strange, so bizarre, it should have brought the entire investigation to a screeching halt. It's a statement Patsy Ramsey made in those first, critical, chaotic hours.
Okay, let's walk through this timeline. It's the morning of December 26th. Your 6-year-old daughter is gone. You find a ransom note. This is a moment of absolute terror. Your world is shattering. And in that moment, what does Patsy Ramsey claim her first thought was? Not about her missing daughter, not about the kidnapper, but about her stepdaughter, Beth, who died 4 years earlier in a car crash. How is that even possible? I mean, seriously, think about that. Why would a ransom note, a criminal document, trigger the memory of a car accident? Is it just a genuine trauma response, the brain short-circuiting under unimaginable stress? Or is it something else? Is it a narrative instinct kicking in, a subconscious need to ground this new criminal horror in an older non-criminal tragedy? It's a cognitive leap that just defies all logic.
And that bizarre connection, it reveals fact number 4, grief as a shield. The family's very real, very tragic history of loss became an incredibly powerful tool, whether they did it consciously or not, to control the story and deflect the intense scrutiny that was about to come down on them. There's a term for this. It's called narrative framing. It's basically the art of telling a story in a very specific way to control how people feel, and more importantly, what they focus on. In a media firestorm, it can be an incredibly powerful shield. And you have to admit, the Ramseys became masters of it. So here's the playbook, laid out. Step 1, you anchor the new horror in that previous, unimpeachable tragedy, Beth's death. Step 2, you zoom way out. In a famous CNN interview in 1997, Patsy didn't talk about the specifics of the crime. She framed JonBenét's murder as a symptom of a sick America, a sign of cultural decay.
See what that does? It shifts the focus from their basement to this broad, abstract critique of society.
And as an investigator, that's the million-dollar question. When someone zooms out that far, you have to wonder, what are they trying to avoid zooming in on? Things like, the pineapple in the bowl, the garrote, the timeline, the other people in the house. It's a brilliant and, frankly, a deeply suspicious redirection.
And all of this brings us to our final and maybe the most revealing fact of all. It's not about what was said about Beth Ramsey. It's about what was never said. It's the emotional black hole created by the silence around who she actually was as a person. Just think about this for a minute. When we truly grieve someone, we remember the little things, right? The funny stories, the inside jokes, the sound of their laugh. Those details are what make grief feel real and textured. But with Beth, those details are almost completely missing from the public narrative. We don't get those lived-in memories. We get bullet points.
And that's the central, glaring contradiction here. Her name is used all the time. It's used as a credential for grief, a symbol of the family's prior tragedy, but her actual personality, her complexities, her quirks, her real self, that is consistently and consciously avoided. It creates this bizarre situation where her name has immense power, but her memory is essentially a void.
So you're left with this question. What is this wall of perfect, curated silence really protecting? Is it just a painful memory that's too hard for them to touch? Or is it protecting something else? A family dynamic, maybe? A truth about the past? A different version of the story that would seriously complicate the clean, tragic narrative they presented to the world? That silence, it ends up being the loudest clue of all.
Because in the end, that's what's so deeply unsettling about this corner of the case. The story is just too clean. The grief is too poetic. Real, raw, messy grief doesn't always rhyme. And when you find a story where it does, you have to ask yourself that final, lingering question. If this story is a carefully written verse, then who's the poet? And what truth were they trying to write over?